standing out means you're open to ridicule and sometimes it's hard. But wearing so many layers and so many identities can make it a struggle in life. And so I kind of have the idea of what it's like to go through a struggle. Because I've worn so many layers through so many parts of my life. I do have clothes underneath, don't freak out. So I lived a long time in my life not telling people who I really was. And that ate away at me. So through middle school, I hid from people. I didn't want them to know who I really was. And by doing so, I was open to being bullied and picked on for my looks and how I acted. And I realized that people didn't want me to be who I was. And by being who I was open for discrimination, then I didn't want to do that. It wasn't until I got into 8th grade when I realized what it was like to be treated different. When I was in 8th grade, I finally heard the word faggot. And that word was used against me for the first time in my life. And it taught me that I wasn't equal in society. That because I was different, that people saw that and they bullied me for it. And so I put on a facade, and I made sure nobody could see who I really was. Thank you. And by doing so, I didn't tell my truth. And my truth was that I was gay. And I couldn't hide that, because I can't hide a part of myself. I can only put on a facade for so long before I tell my real story. And this is my story. So, coming into high school, I went through some struggles. I was treated different, and that was a big thing. Some of you may know I put out on Snapchat, what are the questions you have for me? The overwhelming question was, when did you realize you were gay? When did you realize you were straight? That's my question to you. From the time I was born, I knew who I was, and you knew who you were too. You can't change who you are, you can't change your genetics, and so don't try and ask me why I'm different. Because we're all different in some way, and that's all I have to say to that. But also, what's the struggles you faced in high school? Because honestly, we know people say things, and they think things are different, and I've given speeches on LGBT rights, and I've been told that my opinion doesn't matter. I've had judges at speech and debate say that my topic is been there, done that, predictable, and move on. But I'm not going to move on. Because I'm not going to stop and have somebody tell me my voice doesn't matter, because I've worked too hard for my voice to be said it needs to be silent. That I shouldn't matter, that I don't have an equal say in society, but I do. It's because I knew that my voice was stronger than those who told me I didn't. And I'll tell you right now, you suppress the minority for so long, we're going to be strong enough to stand against you at some point. And that's what I'm here to talk about, is LGBT students in high school are tired of being told we're not allowed or don't belong, and so we're standing up for our rights, and we're standing up to be equal, because so much of society doesn't allow us to be that way. So, if you look at the picture right now, there's 8 states that have no pro-homo laws, which means that teachers and administrators in schools cannot put homosexuality in a positive or neutral light, only negative. They must tell the students that they are a sin, that they're wrong, and they shouldn't come out or be themselves. I personally have such great bonds with my teachers, I couldn't imagine not being myself and contributing to the classroom discussions. But it's because of the fact that laws exist that in these 8 states, students can't be themselves. They can't open up to people and be accepted because laws exist that don't allow them to do that. In 33 states, laws discriminate against LGBT individuals when it comes to work, housing, and services. There's a saying going around the LGBT community which is, you can get married on Saturday, post pictures of your wedding on Sunday, and fired from your job on Monday. And in these 33 states, there are no repercussions whatsoever for doing this. No employer would ever face fines or suing because you can't. Because it's not considered discrimination in these states' eyes. And that needs to change. And the way to change it is to change your guys' opinions. Because there's an idea of what it's like to be gay in high school because of TVs and movies, but it's nothing like what the TVs portray. Being the GBF isn't fun because I just want to be your BF. I don't need to have a title that puts me at a different level, or being told that I'm different because pretty sure I'm equal with all you guys. I'll bleed red and I'll cry clear, so why should you label me as something different? And that's what I want to mention is, we're not different. We all want love because love is love, shockingly. So we need to just stand up and understand that. I want the same things you do. I mean, I see happy couples all the time, heterosexual couples. Doesn't make me straight, and you see me doesn't make you gay. So none of that really matters. I personally look up to examples like Everett and Nina. They're such a happy couple, and I dream of one day having a relationship like that. I know in high school it's hard because there's so few of us either out or those that can actually give their voice a real meaning, but that's what I'm creative, is to give the kids that don't have a voice something to look up to. Because I know before I came out sophomore year, I struggled really hard. I faced a lot of fears, whether it came to family, friends, or being safe at school, and that put me in a really dark place. Kylie's not here today, but shockingly, I dated Kylie sophomore year. Most people don't believe that, and I guess you can or not, but we went on dates, and I told myself I was going to be straight, that I was going to play the part that society wanted me to play, but I couldn't do it. And I told her that I couldn't date her, and that I'm sorry, it's really me, not you, I swear, no matter how cliche that term is. But what happened afterwards is the real sad part of the story. Her friends told me that I made a mistake, that I was wrong, and that I would regret my decision. I took that as I was a mistake. I took it as that what I was and who I was was a mistake, and I couldn't accept myself for who I was. And so, December 22nd, 2015 was the day I attempted suicide. People don't know that about me because they don't want to listen. They don't want to understand what it's like because you don't understand how your words affect people. You don't understand that the things you say have real repercussions. So stand up against words that oppress people because you don't know how many lives you can save by making sure nobody says that one word. Because I've been told that word multiple times, and we're not allowed to say it in class, but you can say it and there's very little repercussions. I've been called faggot and I've heard it in class almost weekly. How do you think that affects me? The idea that I can be called a derogatory term and there's no repercussions for it, and there's not very many repercussions for a lot of words that kids say, and that needs to change. Because guess what? Homophobia is only in one species, and it's our species. So maybe we should understand that maybe we're at fault, and we need to look up and see what real world's like, because it's constantly changing. And right now, marriage equality is favored by a majority. So those that go against marriage equality, and those that say we don't have an equal right, and we don't stand as equals, how does it feel to be a minority now? How does it feel to no longer stand on the moral high ground? Because that's how we always felt growing up, that we weren't equal. And so I hope you understand that we all want the same thing, to be treated equal in society. And so just stand up against homophobia and end it, because that's the biggest thing that affects students, is the fear of being themselves, because you are welcome in my school. Your welcome in is because I will make sure that nobody discriminates against you, because I went through those rough times. And my sophomore year, when I decided to come out and tell my truth, I was met with overwhelming support and acceptance. And it wasn't until recently that I faced discrimination personally. It wasn't until I understood what it was like to be open and out and talk about it. In speech and debate, I give a speech very similar to this, which is an oratory. And I talked about LGBT rights in history, and there's very few rights, which is kind of a sad part. But when I gave this speech, I went all the way up to state for it. And I was so happy, couldn't believe it, but it was at that state tournament where I realized that discrimination still exists. The first night when I was there, I got in the hotel room that I shared with Phoenix, and one of the Phoenix students told me he didn't feel comfortable sharing the room with me. First, don't flatter yourself. I'm not into you. If you're straight, you're not my type. Sorry. Second, there's a height requirement, and you kind of have to be at least 6'1" to ride the rope. Third, we want to be treated equal, so don't put us in the second class member of society. Now, this diagram shows that marriage equality exists all across this country, and we're all equal. Those 33 states are the states that I mentioned earlier. Those are the states where I don't feel comfortable traveling to, because if I was to hold a boyfriend's hand, I can be told I'm not welcome. I can be told that I can be kicked out of a restaurant and nothing can be done about it. And so my goal is to change that. My goal is that when I'm the age of our teachers, that diagram on the right is totally gone. My goal is that people will be equal in society and no longer treated as second-class citizens. Because right now, these are the countries that make homosexuality a crime, and the ones in black make it punishable by death, by stoning and public hanging. The fact that you can be killed for love, yet that doesn't matter and doesn't affect people. Most people don't even know that these countries even have laws like this. let alone the fact that there's laws that are just as bad, like the anti-gay propaganda laws in Russia, where it's illegal to hold hands with a same-sex couple. You can be thrown in jail, and right now, they're trying to execute same-sex couples, typically gay men in Chechnya, Russia. Where right now, you are put in a concentration camp style execution, working until you die, and that's happening today. It's not the past, it's not World War II, it's today. And it's the new Holocaust, and it needs to stop. And so stand up against homophobia, and stand up